Greetings everyone, and you're joining with the Inspire interview series, video series by the IIT, that's the Informatics Institute of Technology. And with this interview series, what we are doing is to bring our alumni from the way back of our history and to bring them and to speak about their experience and how they have been throughout the industries that they are in and how IIT's education has actually helped them to be in the positions that they are. And today, we have one of the most celebrated IIT's alumni here joining with us today, and you can see him already on the screen, and that is none other than Mr. Sushena Ranatunga. And if I speak a little bit about Mr. Sushena, actually, he is one of the most prominent, eminent personalities in the IT industry in Sri Lanka, because he has been in the IT industry since 1989. So that's a long way to go, and there's a lot more to talk about that. So if I speak a lot bit more about the person and his background as well, Mr. Sushena has been the director and the co-founder of the Creative Software, a leading software service exporter in the country since the commencement of the operations in 1999. He co-founded the Four Corners Sri Lanka as well, Four Corners Leisure Private Limited, creative e-learning and servicing as a director of Cambio Software Engineering Private Limited, the leading e-healthcare solution provider in Sweden. So let's stop talking for a while and then actually switch to the interviewee at the moment, because we are more than happy to have him on board today on this session. So Mr. Sushena, good morning to you.
Good morning, Varuna. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me for this session.
You're most welcome. I think especially is ours, because we like to see alumni like you who are such a diverse around the country, also around the globe, and has also made IIT proud. So we always believe it's our duty as IIT to make sure that we showcase all these great products that IIT has definitely created, and you being a very supportive character in the process. So let's go back to the very, very beginning of your life. I mean, IIT's life. Let's go back and see how IIT has been. How was the life of IIT in your experience has been?
Okay. Varuna, I must say that I am a first day student of IIT when they started in 1990. I am a first day student. We had only about 13 to 14 students that day. And I was one of them, so I am very proud to say that, and to see where IIT is today, like where the journey it has come since then, right? And yeah, it was like for any one, their best time of their life is their college time or university time or campus time, I would say. So for me as well, it is the same case. So when we started in 99 with a very small group of people, it was like a extended family for me. To date, I must say that our batchmates are meeting at least once a month.
Really?
So the memories that we created during that time, still we are refreshing almost every month. Actually, we met every week for about 20 years. After that only we gradually, there are a lot of other commitments and things like that came in. So now we are meeting at least once a month. Except for
you're saying that you all met every week for 20 years.
Oh yes. That was a very famous gathering called the WGM, the weekly general meeting. Whoever who was here in Sri Lanka, most of our batchmates are overseas. But we have a WhatsApp group. Thanks to all the communication mediums that we have and the tools that we have today. And we have friends in UK, Australia, New Zealand, and various other places. We have our batchmates, and we are constantly in touch with them. Daily basis, we are in touch with them. The thing is, like in school, the type of people you meet are like diverse. Like you get all kinds of people. Of course, you get long-term friendships in schools. I have still my school friends are there with me, But when it comes to campus or university kind of environment, it's more focused, like your interests and things like that with that group are very focused. So it's like, I would say, like-minded people. So we can talk the same subject because we have learned the same thing. We are working in the same industry. So we have a lot of things in common with our university batchmates.
Right.
So that relationship is getting very strong and stronger. So we did wonderful things during IIT time. Like it was very fun. Like we had many events and academic events as well as fun events at IIT. So we enjoyed all that, and that's how it was. And we have a lot of memories there.
Right. So I think it's a very important part when it comes to higher education. I mean, you do, of course, coursework, and you do lectures, and you do also do the assignments and all that. But at the same time, it's very important that you make memories that can last for a lifetime. And I mean, that's like you are the biggest examples we can definitely put out when it comes to creating memories, because you have been a part of IIT, not only during your study time, but until now, even this moment onwards. You are still a part of IIT because you've been engaging with IIT all these years. So it's great to see that happening. I think that's something we are expecting from all the alumni.
Yes. Actually, I got the opportunity to lead the alumni a few times during last. I got out from IIT in 1995, a long time ago. Most of the current students must have not even been born at that time. So since then, time to time, I had various got the opportunity to lead the alumni, to reorganize, revive, and do things like that. And also, more than anything else, like my organization, like some of the key players are from IIT alumni. So after graduation, they have joined us, and they have stayed a long time with us. They have worked with us, and so because of that, for recruitment, for project work, for industrial placement and things like that, I got the opportunity to work with IIT time to time. So that was really interesting, and nothing like going to your own place, like going to your own university, your campus, your institute, whatever you call it, where you studied. It's like going back to your old school.
That's right. That's very agreeable. And also, to speak a little bit more further from that point onwards, now you graduated in 1995, and in 4 years' time, you came up with your own organization, Creative Solutions, Creative Software. How did that happen? Let's speak about the process, because like not everybody can muster the courage or muster the knowledge or the kind of the driving force to create a company. But you did it. And let's speak about the process and how the gradual increment of your success came into being.
Yes. Soon after graduation, Varuna, I got the opportunity to go overseas because that is the time internet technologies came out, like World Wide Web and things like that, 94, 95 time period.
Right.
So I got the opportunity to go overseas, that is again through informatics, to Germany to work in a research institute in Munich. So I was there for almost 2 years, and I got the opportunity to learn about internet technologies and things like that. New development technologies, Java and things like that came up at that time, PHP and things like that. So it was fun. Like it was not the type of programming that we did, slightly different, and connectivity worldwide, and all that e-commerce and things like that came up. So that with that knowledge, when I came back, I again joined Informatics as a software engineer. I joined as a project coordinator when I returned from Germany, and stayed there for nearly 3 years. And then I thought I should do something of my own, because I had the background at that time and knowledge that I have gained through informatics, our degree. That IIT degree helped me a lot to think as an entrepreneur and start my own thing. So that I must say that the degree definitely gave me confidence to start my own thing with the experience. So by the time I started, I had almost 5 years experience after graduation, and I thought that is the right time to explore and see what I can do on my own. So here I am now. Yeah.
Exactly. That's great to see. And mentioning that, that you studied IITs actually makes us proud because you being one of the pioneering students of IIT at the very beginning, and you being successful with IIT, because it's been 30 years for IIT. We are celebrating 30 years of the 30th anniversary this year. So along with that, we us seeing successful students, alumni like you is actually.
Oh yeah. No, I must say it is not only me. Like if I take all my batchmates, they are all doing really well. Like all are equal, and we do really well. Some are doing. Some are well established in overseas, like the UK, USA, Australia, New Zealand, and places like that. And some are here in Sri Lanka. They are well established. They are chief executive officers, or chief operating officers, or chief information officers, general managers, and entrepreneurs. Like we have a lot of people here with IIT background, and they are doing really well. All my batchmates and even junior batches are doing really well.
Okay, so we'll make sure to speak to them as well, and then get them to come for interview as well.
Yes. If you really find out like who the people are in top places, like banks, CIOs, and people like that in big conglomerates, I know, like places like John Keel's, places like AMAS, MS, HNB, all these places, like IIT alumni is there.
Yeah. That's right. You can find them anywhere you go, in any country.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sushena, so we go forward from there on. Now, you said you chose IIT back then. That's that's one of the most fundamental students and the pioneering students. So, but you also had the choice of going abroad if you wanted to, right? But you didn't, and you chose IIT with confidence. And let's speak about why you made that choice, and that has definitely paid out to you as well. We can see that. But why that initial point? Because usually when anyone like a student or a parent comes to selecting a place to study, they always think about the experience and the exposure of the organization, and there are so many factors involved. So what made you select IIT?
Yeah. Yes. At that time, Varuna, of course, most of the people went overseas to do degrees. Because that was the only option available if you don't get selected to one of the government universities, right? So Informatics was the first institute in Sri Lanka that started giving a full degree in Sri Lanka in IT. That is all 4 years. Before that, there were other institutes gave like 2+2 or something like that. You have to do 1 year here, 3 years there, or 2 years here, 2 years overseas, or something like that. So you have to spend quite a bit for that. Everyone is not having that capacity. Like if I am coming from a middle class family, like it's not easy for us to spend that much at the beginning of our life, just to start life. Spending that much was not a viable option. Could have done it, but when you have the option available here to get the same degree, same qualification here in Sri Lanka, like if you go to UK and Westminster, now those days Manchester Metropolitan University, I think you will have to spend at least 4 or 5 times more than what you are spending here only for course work itself, right? Only for the course, only for the program. Then living expenses come in, various other things come in. And after 5 years or 4 years, you are getting the same certificate. So if you have that option, and word to word, that certificate was the same. That is the guarantee we got from IIT at that time, and that's what we got end of the day after completing the degree here. Because the students, our contemporaries in UK, also got the same certificate. Right. So if the course content and if the certificate and all that is the same, and the price is 1/10 of what you have to spend, obvious choices to do here, right? So that was, I think, I must thank Mr. Gamini Wickramasinghe, Dr. Gamini Wickramasinghe, who started the course at that time, and many of our batchmates did higher education because of that, because of his brave decision to start the institute, because it was not easy to introduce something like this at that time, because that was the first thing is not easy, right? To start something like that when there's no market, it is not easy. But now, of course, I think there are so many mushroom places are there, but that time it was something different, right? Exactly. And also they made sure the lecturers were high caliber, lab staff, the facilities we had at that time was really in top of the range. Government universities didn't have those facilities those days. So we had the opportunity to use those facilities and get the same qualification as in UK.
Exactly.
So, even today, someone sees our qualification like it's the same thing, right? Like what you get in even Westminster degree is the same, I guess. The same degree that you get in UK, you get here in Sri Lanka.
Same thing, yes, exactly. The franchise program is what they are calling. I mean, you get the same degree here and you get the same degree in the UK. So it's the same thing with the drastic difference in prices and the fees that you have to pay. At the end, the benefit is the same. And it's also, IIT provides internal degrees. Now, all the degrees are internal, which means it's the same exact copy of what you're getting in the UK. Correct. So
because when I have worked overseas, now when I went to Germany, like they never asked whether I studied in Sri Lanka or not. Now then after some time back, I wanted to apply for Australian migration. I applied and I had to do my academic accreditation. So I had to submit my certificates and things like that. They never asked whether I did it in Sri Lanka or UK. Like as soon as they saw my degree certificate, my academic accreditation happened smoothly, and I managed to go through the migration process as well. So it's a wonderful option, and I think very wise decision I made at that time with my mother. She's the one who backed this, and I think we did the right thing.
Exactly. Parents always make the best choices for their children.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sushena, so if you move on now, there's also another misconception, rather not a misconception, like it's like an idea that's actually being running around in society, because you see a lot of you mentioned about the number of institutes in the country as well, and then you see IT industry being a novel industry because it's not new. I mean, it's not old, it's actually quite new when it comes to the industries around the world. People have been, developing IT, and it's actually in an expansive development at the moment. But at the same time, you see a lot of people, there are so many professionals being put out of the universities to the industries. And then you see like a huge influx of these professionals to the industry when it comes to IT profession. Parents might think that Okay, there are so many universities creating so many professionals in IT. What if my son or my daughter also goes into the same industry and might not be able to find a job? Is that even viable? Because it's a statement that actually kind of prohibits parents from getting their sons or daughters involved in IT because of their uncertainty in the industry, because of their lack of knowledge or understanding. So what's your view on this as someone who's exposed in the industry globally?
Yeah. No, I think that's a reasonable concern to have, because when you see there are so many institutes, government and public and private institutes producing so many graduates, IT graduates every year. You think like, okay, whether this will have enough employment opportunities as well. I think that's a reasonable fear to have, but again, you must see, Varuna, the way things are changing in the world, right? From 1995, the time that we came out, to date, if you see the changes that has taken place, especially with the internet, and connectivity, and industries dependency of IT, government sector dependency of IT, any vertical, if you take like healthcare, or mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, telecommunications, retail industry, banking and finance. If you take all these verticals, IT plays the key role there.
Exactly.
Right. Without now, files and documents like hard copies days have gone. Right. So without having proper systems in place, in the future, a doctor will not be able to do a surgery.
That's right.
Right. You will not be able to do a banking transaction. Airline will not be able to fly. Any other retail business will not be able to function. Right.
That's right.
So the thing is, like, all these industries are heavily dependent on IT systems. Right. So I don't know in the foreseeable future, like I don't see anything that will change that trend, unless something totally different, some miracle happens. Like any construction industry, all these industries, manufacturing of any item, garments to everything, like you need very sophisticated IT systems.
That's right.
And if you see, even with this many institutes in place, do you see any unemployed graduates of IT graduates at this stage? So we need quality graduates to come out. And also the other thing is like, okay, the content that you learn is also very important. So that is where actually places like IIT play a big role. Their content is very mature, right? So the experience that they have gained over the last 30 years is somewhat different to very new organization, institute. So that matters a lot. So because the quality of the people then coming out from such institutes also different. That's the experience that we have learned from, of course, like government universities. We know very high caliber people are coming, and IIT. There are other private institutions as well. Like you get very high caliber people are coming, but still, for your question, I think everyone is having their share of the pie available at the moment or for the foreseeable future. I think it is there, because still a lot more to do in this with IT systems.
Yeah, because IT will always expand, never shrink.
Because now if you take Varuna, I am working with about 25 clients from Scandinavian countries, and they are into various sectors, especially into healthcare. The amount of things that we have planned for the next decade, I would say, so many things have been planned.
Really?
And we need people to do those things. And the other thing is, when you become an IT graduate, the difference is, I always say this to people who are going to study IT, like they get a global passport.
That's true.
Right? If you take a doctor, right? A doctor, MBBS doctor in Sri Lanka will not be able to go and practice in UK or USA or Australia or Canada or any place. Like they can't, like they have to go there and they have to do their local qualifications. A lawyer will not be able to do that. Accountant will have to go and go through the process, right? Even a carpenter or like an engineer will not be able to do that, because their local standards are different, right? Even civil engineers of Sri Lanka will not be able to go and just do things in UK or Australia and places like that, because their way of doing things are different. But if you take a software engineer, you just have to go there and sit in front of the desk anywhere in the world, right? Java will be Java, .NET will be .NET, C# will be C#, and architecture will be the same. Like if you're doing from whether you do it from there or here. So it's still, I think it's very premature to think that it'll have an unemployment problem in this industry. That's my view. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think that's relieving for the parents and the students who are willing to be in this profession. So there's no, I mean, coming from expert is actually something that we can guarantee. And we also see that. It was just that, like, most people might be ignorant to just to research on this matter. But like when you, likewise you mentioned, IT will only expand. It will only expand. It will not shrink. So which means every time it expands, you will have more opportunities to join in and to cooperate and to support. And moving on to the next question, Mr. Sushena, actually connecting with what you earlier said about how many, the number of industries that get positively affected by IT industry positively. Education is also one thing when it comes to this recent pandemic. We are still undergoing COVID-19. Education is one of the sectors that did not get heavily affected, because we could quickly and swiftly move education from physical classes to online classes. So it kept on going, unlike for other industries. And people have been in Sri Lanka as well. I mean, IIT students and so many other institutions in the country have moved their education to online platforms where they can learn from remotely from anywhere they want. And do you think this trend will continue? Because the UK, as far as I remember, the Oxford University has actually moved its classes to online till 2021. And even if you go there, that has happened. Also, Westminster University also sent a notice recently for those who want to transit to the UK. Their classes will not be held in classes, so that you can study in Sri Lanka or wherever you are if you want to join them. So do you think this trend will continue, this online education? And it's like a new way of doing things. That's more convenient, and you get the same benefit at the same time. What do you think?
Varuna, I think trend was there even before, right? If you take Australia now, I know one of my colleagues' two sons are studying there in Australia, and students, they had their e-learning systems in place even before COVID, and students were doing there, because lectures on demand is available. Even if you don't go to a particular lecture, like if you want to do it in the night or something like that, you can just on your computer and go to your e-learning system, and you can listen to your lectures, and you can do your other coursework and things like that online. I think the trend will be there, trend will continue. But if you ask whether that is the right thing, I of course prefer the other way. Like if students, because this is the time that students should get together and do, because that is the, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this interview, that was the best time we had. Right? So I don't know whether you can get it virtually, right? But of course, things are changing in the world. We have to accept the fact, right? So it will be there. I think it will continue even after pandemic. I think it will continue because now students, everyone is going into a easy life, right? So if they have to travel a lot, like they prefer if the lecture is online, and if they can listen to it anytime, and why should you go there? Some one person can think like that. Like it's easy. I don't have to go through the hassle of traveling and all that. I can just switch on my computer in my room and do it. I think that will be there. That we will not be able to stop. But I think a blend of both is the best.
Then it could be there. That's what
Yeah.
Because I think if you start moving everything to be seated in front of the computer, that's not going to make us human anymore.
No, yes. That is not the life actually we had. I don't know whether probably there are different opinions are there, but we, of course, our memories are with interaction and all that, and it's not just virtual. I don't know how to get it virtually.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you can 100%. That's certain. Okay. So Mr. Sushena, you started Creative Software back in the day, and that was a startup. If you go to the very beginning of the inception of your company, that came as a startup. So you being a profound person at the moment in the world, and you seeing everyone, because like in Sri Lanka, we see a very nice startup culture happening, and regardless of COVID-19 or not, the trend has been going on even before that. So looking at these youngsters who are coming up with innovative ideas to bring up new businesses and ideas, amalgamate them together. In an investor's perspective, how do you see them? Because it's actually a completely different question to what we've been speaking about. So in a way of advising them, because sometimes having a great idea but not being able to communicate that properly or pitching them properly can be an issue. So what do you think about, what kind of advice do you think you can give to these startup cultures and the people who are coming up with startups businesses in the country, especially in Sri Lanka, because you have to go out at the end?
Varuna, I think we see, as you mentioned correctly, a startup culture now coming up last few years. If you see, it's really nice to see that. I'm of course like 100% for that, because earlier, if you take in Sri Lanka, we mostly had, even if you take our company, like mostly they are mostly into services, IT services, right? But money is actually the real, if you want to have a proper like income source, and if you want to do some change, I think you have to go for like product startups, not service startups, like product startups. And that is like, if you have a nice idea, as you mentioned earlier, if you can productize it and if you can take it to the market, I think that is where that is what we should do. I'm not always saying that that is where money is, because of course, like end of the day, business is money. Like you have to earn, otherwise no point doing a business. So more than services, like product ideas, we
value addition.
it could be value addition, or it could be novel ideas, like new product ideas that a lot of our people have, our students nowadays, young students, because their exposure is different to the exposure that we had. So yes, this thing should happen. If you take the developed world, right? If you take a country like Sweden, for example, there are thousands of software product companies. Their population is 9 million or 10 million, half the population of Sri Lanka. But the type of products, not only software products, like the other products that they have developed, that is why those countries are developed. Even now, things like Skype, Spotify, and things like that came from countries like Sweden. So our students who come out to study IT also have the same capabilities like the students in the West, right? And not like good old days. Now the market is like open for everyone. If you are connected to the net, like you can sell your products online if you do the right thing. So you can, like things like WhatsApp and Skype and things like that, the changes that they have done and the amounts that they have earned using doing their own thing. So I think for Sri Lanka also, it's a very suitable model to have boutique type of startup companies with their own ideas, and they have to take those ideas to the market. And that is happening now. That is happening. Even I think few IIT students have very successful companies, startup companies. One actually joined with me about 6 years ago, Sharan Correa, and start, because we have this our Idea Lab program where we fund startups. If they come out with good ideas, we have a program that we jointly develop with them, and we form a company jointly, and then take it. We help them to market the product. So we developed an e-learning platform with one of the IIT students, and now that product is a leading product in the country, and also we have gone to other countries as well, like USA and places like that, Australia. That product is used. So it's I think it's a must that of course people should work for companies and learn, and if you have this knack for doing your own thing, the opportunities are there. Endless opportunities are there. I don't know whether that is the correct answer to your question. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Because like at the end, if you are able to do it properly, you might even be able to sell ice to Iceland, things like that.
Yes.
If you pitch it properly and come up with proper ideas. So that's quite important. So ideas as well as communication and how you target the market is also quite important, and also value addition at the very end.
Yes. You should not think that everything is now. We think, okay, for every problem there is a solution. At the moment, we don't have. There are so many problems that you can give solutions.
Exactly.
Right? So IT is that, like giving solutions to various difficulties to make those things easy and things like that. So there are ample opportunities, like for such products and things like that.
When you mentioned about problems also, I just recall, because like COVID-19 is something that we have all been suffering through, regardless of caste or creed or whatever.
Correct.
But I think with the IT, a lot of countries in the Australia and the UK came up with these apps to track.
Yes, contact tracking. Yes,
So I think that's how IT helps any industry at the
Yeah. Healthcare, especially healthcare, is actually heavily dependent on IT systems.
Okay, so another important factor when it comes to a professional, especially an IT professional, because you see IT professionals always in front of laptops, and then people from outside the industry, they think these people are suffering, but they're not. But at the end, what matters really the most is that how you balance the work life, the equation in this. How do you do that? Because you have been doing that for a long time and you have been quite successful, and that's quite evident for all of us, and that's why you are an inspiration, and that's why we invited you on board as well. So to inspire all those who wants to be in IT, and also those who are in IT, and those who are looking at IT from a different perspective about the work-life balance, could you tell us what your secret is?
Oh yeah, actually there's no secret as such, Varuna. It's day-to-day things that we did. I in my case, if you take, like, I worked at Informatics before starting this company for almost 10 years, and then I joined this. The thing is, like, you have to understand your priorities properly, right? If as long as you can understand your priorities, you can balance your life very easily. I am married. I have 2 sons, and one is going to uni, and the other one is small. So I at the same time I'm running about 4 companies with almost all together we have about 700 staff members now. But that never was a problem for me to balance my duties or anything like that at home, and to spend time with my children and all that. So IT is a field that, of course, like if you become a software, it's the quality of life of a software engineer, I must say, is very they are very gifted people, right? Because if you take a doctor or someone like a medical doctor, like it's not easy, right? You have to work in the night, you have to be on call and things like that, whereas we as software engineers, like, have the flexibility. Mostly we are working on standard office hours, right? And if unless you are in to
with deadline,
you are into support services or something like that, right? You can work the standard hours, right? And that gives the opportunity for you to be with your family and tend to their whatever the activities that they need your support. So I in my case, like, I was very careful with that. Like, I do my work, and after a certain time, like, I switch off things, and then I go home, right? And of course, like, you when you have the laptop in front of you, like, you just on it and check your email, and now it's the mobile device, like, it has become even worse, right? So you have always you see your messages and things like that, but you have to be self-disciplined. You have to be self-disciplined, and that is something that we promote in our company as well. For our employees, like, we don't want them to stay late hours and things like that. And that actually mainly came because of our the cultures that we are working with. Scandinavian companies, especially, they are very particular about their life, personal life as well. So it's if you manage your time properly, I think you can balance both very nicely, and you will not have any problem.
Okay. So the key is to understand your priorities and then scale them properly, and then you'll be able to go through it in a nice way.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for clarifying that, because that has been a misconception and misunderstanding among a lot of people who look at IT from different perspective, because that's what you normally see, but the story that actually inside is completely different. That's what you're saying.
No. Yes, it is different. But with this working from home concept, like, things can change, but it can be positive and negative as well. Like when you work from home, like when the families are there and all that, sometimes it can disturb you a bit to your work, and also you can even do more work during the family time. You will want, because everything is available in front of you and you are used to it, you will tend to do some things. But it's up to the individual, I would say, to
the distance
balance both and do it. But as a discipline, or as an industry, our IT industry is not forcing people to do like that. So it's a very good career for male and female both to select, because this gives a balance of both if you really want to do it.
Okay, so that's great. That's good clarification from you. So you being in the IT industry and also as an experienced professional in the industry, you see a lot of people in Sri Lanka aspiring to be IT professionals. They want to be in IT regardless of it. Some have this dream from their childhood to be, someone who can develop something and be something productive for their country and for the world. From someone like you, what kind of advice do you think you can give them in the form of a guidance, how they can make their future good if they join the IT industry?
Yes, you have to be a passionate person, first of all. Like IT, again, like a lot of people think that software engineering, if you don't get selected to this and that, then I should go and do software engineering or something like that. So that is not the case. Like, this is also a serious discipline or industry that you need some knowledge, some passion is very important, and commitment to become a good software engineer. Anyone can become a software engineer, but if you want to become a good software engineer, you will need that passion, commitment, and your talent also is required. So what I want to say is, don't just become a software engineer for the sake of being one. Right? Just because your neighbor is a software engineer, or your cousin is a software engineer, you should not become a software engineer. You should understand the underlying requirements of software engineering, and then you should get into that field, IT field. So, and if you are in the IT field, and there are so many ways that you can contribute to the field. You can become an engineer and contribute to the field, and there are you can go forward, you can go up the ladder, or else you can be a entrepreneur. And as you mentioned earlier, you can start your own thing after working for some time somewhere and gaining some experience, you can start. You can do your own product company or services company. There are so many things that you can do, right? So you have to, each individual should identify what their strong point is, strength is. Now, in my case, I realized that I must say the truth, I am not a good software engineer. Right. Though I started as a software engineer, I realized that I am not a very good software engineer. So, but I knew that there is another way in this industry that I can go forward.
Exactly.
Right. With the knowledge that I gained as a software engineer, so my strength was marketing, management, and things like that. So I wanted to get into that area, business development kind of activities. So when you take IT industry, there are so many things that you can do. So you have to select very clearly. You have to very wisely. You have to select your strong area, right? Okay. If I am not very good in software development, I should not spend time in that. So I can get into quality assurance, project management, hardware engineering is there, networking is there, then pre-sales, marketing activities are there. There are so many things within IT industry. A degree like IIT help you to get into. It is not only software engineering. Right? So this opens up you to a gamut of different requirements, right? So you can select which one is most suitable for you, and then you go down that path. All these paths will have journey to go, and will give you good results if you do it properly.
Okay, so first off is to find your passion, and then to see whether you have the proper strength, and then you have to experiment a little bit and see whether you can go forward on that. I think that's great advice coming to all our viewers from you. And so that being the final question, this concludes our discussion, and we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. for coming on board and agreeing to come on board. We know that you're extremely busy, and we are quite thankful for being making time to be online with us and to speak about this industry and how Sri Lankans can also be a part massively in it in the long run. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aruna, and it was a great pleasure to be with you guys this morning. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so for the viewers who are watching us right now, that was the second episode of the Inspire interview series of IIT. So we will be having more sessions like this in the future, featuring our own alumni, because we have stories to tell to all of you, because we are creative stories. For 30 years, IIT has been there in the country, being the pioneering education, higher education partner, higher education institute in Sri Lanka that brought British education to the country. So with that note, we'd like to say goodbye to you. We'll be seeing you with the next episode quite soon on the Inspiring series. Have a good day.